Ireland. Good to speak with you, Danny. I realise these are coming thick and fast at the moment, so I'll try and keep it short and sweet. I just want to start, Danny, by asking you in respect to the quick turnover, 3 days between the game against Preston and obviously tomorrow's game. How are you? How are the squad dealing with that?
Yeah, the games are coming thick and fast. I think for the whole championship, we have 5 games in this initial period. We obviously started a day later because we played Nottingham Forest on a Sunday, and we finish it a day earlier, so it makes it 13 days as opposed to 15 days for us, which makes it particularly challenging. But then we do get an additional day off the back of Luton to prepare for the Sheffield Wednesday game. So it's no doubt it's a tough schedule. The boys have expended an awful lot of energy fighting for the cause, and it's important as a squad we try to dust ourselves down. We've got some younger players available to us that can come in and that can help, and they'll be travelling with us to Reading tomorrow, and we will pick the best team we possibly can, and we just have to make some intelligent decisions, because what we don't want to do at this vital time in the season is break anybody, because if we do, we know that it is it's probably season defining for any player that gets injured now, because if you do pick up a muscle strain, you won't have enough time to be able to rehab and get back fit for what is very close to the end of the season.
I know we've discussed this previously, but how much preparation can you do when the games are coming so quickly?
Lots. Yeah, we always, in these times where we're playing 3 games in a week or 3 games in 6 days, as we just have, we'll always get home, watch the game back twice, clip the game with our analysts for the players. Then we have a meeting the next morning to debrief the game, to take the learning from the game, and then our focus turns to the next one. We've managed to get a bit ahead of ourselves in terms of the schedule. We've watched some games live, which have been really beneficial. But yeah, there's, for us as a staff, we're all working very, very hard to do the necessary detail and preparation on our opponent. Obviously, when the games do come thick and fast, you're never quite sure. The opposing team's lineup tends to be harder to read, because most teams are rightly rotating in what is a busy schedule.
When you look back at the point against Preston now, and with the results that happened yesterday as well, are you even more pleased with the result, given the context of the table now?
Well, I think we always felt that it would be a good result to pick something up against Preston. They are a particularly aggressive team, play with a real intensity, and yeah, for us, we did really, really well against the ball, but we would like to do better with the ball, and that's the balance we're probably trying to find in our first 2 performances at Wigan and Nottingham Forest. We did well with the ball until the final third. At Birmingham, I thought we got the balance good for a majority of the game, not all the game, but for a majority of the game. And on Saturday against Preston, we were excellent against it defensively, in terms of our organisation and our shape, and our defensive 1v1 duels and the combative moments. We did really well, but we'd like to be better in terms of our possession, and also certainly in terms of the attacking transition.
Your defence was given so much credit after the game, particularly Christopher Schindler and Richard Stearman. How pleasing is it seeing their partnership at the back and back-to-back clean sheets as well for your side?
Well, it's much easier to win football matches when you can keep clean sheets. That is for sure. We all know that, and that's what we work hard towards. People don't realise, but bringing the number 9 in, we always see our number 9 as our first defender. And being able to bring Fraser back into the group, he does a brilliant job for us in terms of the top end of the pitch. and he's played as big a role as the two centre halves and Jonas in keeping those clean sheets. So we always see defending as an 11-man job, and collectively as an 11 on Saturday, we defended very well against a good Preston team.
Trevor Chalobah as well at right back. It was quite enlightening to hear your comments after the game, the crash course that you and Nicky had given him on playing that position. But has he given you something to think about now coming into the game at Reading, given his performance?
Yeah, I think so. He did very well. Trevor, I was proud of him really to step into such an important game as a young player, particularly a player that's on loan from another club. I think he showed great maturity and a great willingness to put himself before the team before himself. And he was he performed really well. And credit to him. It's a position like everyone's aware that we're particularly short in. We've got young Didi, who unfortunately had picked up a stomach virus last week. So for Trevor to step in that moment and do as well as he did was a bonus to everybody.
Could he be a player that you look to try and acquire on a permanent basis come the end of this season?
We're not quite sure where we are in terms of finances for next season. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're waiting to see and assess the damage really of this situation and where the club is at. Obviously, for not just for Huddersfield Town, but for clubs across the Championship and certainly in the lower leagues, this period has been really damaging. So I think what we're trying to do is understand exactly what the damage is, have a look at what finance we have available, and then we will try to make some decisions for there. But we've thoroughly enjoyed working with Trevor. He's a great kid. He's got fantastic attitude. He's got unbelievable physical qualities, some very, very good technical qualities as well. And he's learning about the game and the different positions we're asking him to play in, because naturally his education at Chelsea has been as a centre half, and in senior football he's played much more as a number 6, and obviously on Saturday he played at right back. So these are all good, really good learning experiences for him, and that's only going to help him in the future. And I have no doubt that Trevor's going to go and play right at the top. And he was 21 yesterday, so it was his birthday yesterday. Went out for a meal with his family, and I know they're very supportive of him. But no, we've loved having him with us, and if we could extend it in some form, then that would be great.
In terms of your bill of health, how is D'Amico Dehaney? Is he back and fully fit for tomorrow's game?
Didi has been able to train yesterday and today, which has been a positive. And yeah, he'll be travelling with us tomorrow.
I wanted to ask you about Jayden Brown as well. I'd seen that he's been out for a little while with appendicitis, and I know you said during the break that he'd had to go into hospital. How is he? Yeah,
he's fine. He's been back training, which has been a real plus. He looked really sharp in the training sessions, actually. Our doctor, Zab, did an unbelievable job with him. He recognised it really, really early, and if he hadn't have done that and taken the necessary precautions, I think we'd have ended up with a burst appendicitis, and Jayden would have had an operation and would have been out for the season. So we're really thankful to Zab in seeing that, reading it, and then putting the necessary precautions in place. He was in hospital for a few days with it, but we managed to get the necessary antibiotics into the system, and that calmed down the inflammation around the appendix and stopped it from bursting, which was firstly and most importantly a real positive for Jayden and his health, but obviously very important for us in the position we are in our season.
Definitely positive news. Looking ahead to tomorrow's game against Reading, how do you view them as opponents, particularly after their 5-0 win at the weekend?
Reading are a very good team, excellent with the ball. What they did to Luton, they have the capabilities in their group to do that to anybody. Real athleticism, lots of power, and yeah, they carry real threat with the ball. we will need to be at our very, very best to be able to compete with them, and that's what we intend to be come tomorrow evening.
You said before the Preston game that you needed to be physical, you needed to stand up. You anticipated that they'd come and bully you. How do you approach this game against Reading now?
Well, I think Reading are a very different team from Preston. Preston play with real aggression, intensity against the ball. They're one of the best teams in the division against the ball for me, if not the best. They have a real power against the ball. They're very, very good at putting counter-attacks out. And yeah, we knew that we would need to be able to stand up against them. Reading pose different problems. We know if we allow them to dominate the ball, then they are a team that can get a real rhythm and a flow to their performance and can be very, very difficult to stop.
Yaku Mete got 4 goals in that game for them against Luton. How much do you have to keep an eye on him and try and contain him maybe?
Yes, of course. He's in a good moment and all from the right-hand side as well. So normally when a player scores 4 goals, you anticipate that they play down the middle of the pitch. But coming from the right, he scored 4 very good goals and a very, very good goals from a Reading perspective in terms of the creation and the way that the goals happen. So no, they will come into this game full of confidence, which is what we anticipate. But we too are in a good place, and we've been very resolute in our last 2 performances, and we want to be taking those qualities into tomorrow evening's game.
Finally, from me, Danny, it's getting so tight now at the bottom of the Championship table with the results and whatnot. I know you've said this before, but can you look at the table at all? Can you try and keep yourself away from it, or do you have to try and distance yourself from what's happening elsewhere?
Well, you can look at it, but it won't change unless you do something about it. And the only way we can make it change is by putting our focus and energy into the bits that we can control, which is our performance. And that's what we're trying to do. We've got a big week ahead of us. It's a week that we're looking forward to. We're just about to travel down south now to Reading. And we will get to Reading early evening. We'll have good rest overnight, and then we will go and give our very, very best come tomorrow evening. And it's an important game. And you know, at the moment, with the games coming as thick and fast as they are, we're very much trying to stay in the present, putting all of our energies into the next performance. And I think for us, it's about trying to pick the best team available. And when I mean that, that's, you know, I have to look at the freshness of the group, and I have to look at the players that are able to accumulate and cope with the games and still play at their best. And if there are players that do need a rest in this what has been an incredible schedule, then even if they're important players to us, then maybe that we have to make the right decision for them and the team.
Cheers, Danny. Good luck for tomorrow.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, Danny, when you have a team like Reading that have just come off the back of a big result like that, does it change your preparations at all?
I don't think so. You know, it was a very good result for Reading. We've watched them play the Luton game. We watched that back yesterday. I also watched them play Brentford, which was the game before that. We've got 3 more games to watch sometime between now and tomorrow evening. But no, we'll get a good gauge of them, and like I said, try to organise the team as effectively as we can. We won't pick the team until tomorrow. We're travelling quite a few of our younger players because we know that this is going to be a whole squad effort with the games coming as quickly as they can, particularly for us, the 5 games in the 13 days.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the goals all coming off the right for Reading, and I know that's something that Preston tried to exploit. They tried to get in behind Harry Toffolo and couldn't find too much space behind him. Alex Neil complained about that after the game. Harry said the other day that he feels he has to earn the right to go forward. Does that change game by game as well?
Absolutely. You know, we know Harry is very good at getting on the overlap and getting around his left-sided player. But ultimately, he's a defender first. And He's working at his defensive game all the time, and he's made giant strides in the time that we've worked with him. And credit to him, because he's a boy who just wants to learn, just wants to get better. And I think next to him, Christopher Schindler has been exceptional in the last 2 games, and him and Richard Stearman, particularly on Saturday and Wednesday, were a big part of the 0-0 draw. But like I said, it's always an 11-man job defending, and bringing Fraser back into the group is so important for us against the ball. He's always our first defender.
And you talk about having to make some changes. Does that include potentially the centre backs after a punishing game against Preston?
I think we're looking at the whole group, and we want to pick the strongest team possible. I'm not someone that wants to rotate if I don't have to. For me, it's always about continuity. All my best teams, I've been able to have real continuity. You'd be able to close your eyes and just the names would roll off the tongue. But it's in unprecedented times, isn't it? And it's, for us, this is the dangerous game in terms of player load and picking up injuries. We have an extra day off the back of Luton, which would definitely help the group. And we're looking at it as 2 sprints, really. A sprint this week, then a break, a small break, but maybe a day off for the group on Saturday, and then the final sprint going into the games against Sheffield Wednesday and West Brom and Millwall.
I know you said you love football and you love being involved in the games. Do you feel the players are enjoying this constant churn at the moment? I
think so. Yeah, we love football. We've trained this morning. The atmosphere was good. We had a bit of fun on the grass, and Nicky always calls it serious fun, which is good. For us, people only learn when they're enjoying it. So it's always trying to find that balance. But no, we did some good work, good detailed work as well, in some areas that we think will help us going into tomorrow's game. And I think we're all enjoying one another's company, and we're all enjoying the fact that everybody's contributing, and it feels like a real unity. And that's something that really is developing, which is great. And sometimes it takes adversity and difficult moments to bring people together, and we've seen that, we've lived that, and it's nice to see now the boys fighting not just for themselves but for one another, and that can be so powerful, as we all know.
That's great. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thanks. Danny, you said after the game on Saturday that Fraser Campbell wasn't feeling 100% fit. How's he now going into tomorrow's game?
Yeah, Fraser is a fighter. He'll always put his hand up. He's a great kid. He's Huddersfield Town through and through. No one wants to see the club be successful more than Fraser, and he'll do whatever the team needs him. And he was selfless on Saturday, because he probably wasn't anywhere near 100% fit, if we're honest. But he was still willing to put himself out there, and he knows that he's an important part of the team, and he knows that his presence can get 5% more out of people around him, and that's what good number 9s do. And also Stevie Mounier, when he came on, I thought he did great, and again, for very, very little work. He's obviously been injured with a thigh strain, so to come back off of literally 2 training sessions and play Wednesday and then again on Saturday was credit. And I'm really proud that the boys are willing to put their bodies on the line for the group.
And you've said a few times this season that 50 points is the aim. Looking how tight it is down there, and after the weekend's results, do you still feel like that will be enough to survive?
Well, we don't know. History suggests that normally it is, but for us, we're just focusing on the next game, and that is Reading, and it's a chance to accumulate some more points against Reading. And if we can accumulate some more points against Reading, then we do get in touching distance of that that 50-point marker. And when we get to 50 points, we want 51 points. And when we get to 51 points, we want 52 points, because that is how we that's how we work here. And we're not worried too much about what happens around us. We know some teams will win, some teams will lose, and some teams will draw. And it will happen sporadically, because it's a championship, and at the best of times it's a crazy league and a very difficult one to read. But at this unprecedented time, it becomes even more difficult to read. There's lots of variables. I think that the integrity of the league is going to be truly tested in the games to come, because there's going to be certain teams that are in the playoffs, and once you're in the playoffs, and because the games come so quickly after the end of the season, the playoff games, are they still going to field strong teams? Once you've been promoted, are you going to still field teams? Once you've been relegated, are you going to still field strong teams, because next season comes around so quickly? These are all questions that none of us know the answer. Only once you're in that position will managers try to make the right decision for their club. Obviously, the EFL have laws and rules in place around fielding the strongest team available. We will have to wait and see. But because of all of those variables, I don't think anyone can accurately predict what is going to happen. And I'm not going to waste any of my energy trying to, because I want to put all my focus into the process, and the process is the performance. And if we get the performances right, then, as we've seen, the points will come as a consequence.
And looking at the goalkeeper situation for next season, I know you said you're waiting to kind of assess the financial impact of everything that's happened, but both goalkeepers that have played nearly every game this season have been on loan. Would you look to get Jonas or Camille back next season on loan, or what's the situation there?
Well, if that was possible, then that would be unbelievable for us. Of course, Jonas in particular has done brilliantly since he's come in. He's brings a wealth of experience, such calmness. His possession strategies are excellent, and he just has an aura about him as a boy in the training ground, but also on the pitch. And he's been an absolute pleasure and a delight to work with. And his heart is at Huddersfield. There's no doubt about that. And that to me is always an essential quality that you need if you're going to be successful at a club. So that would be great for me with recruitment. 1 and 9 are always the two most important players on the pitch in terms of winning you points and losing you points. It's always a real focus for me in recruitment, those two areas. But like I said, I'd love to be in a position now that we had real clarity over where we were at, but we're not afforded that, and we won't be the only club in that position. This is a very, very difficult moment for football clubs and for owners and chairmen, because you have to be fair to them. No one anticipated this situation. No one anticipated the losses or the expenditure that was going to come from this pandemic. We don't even know when next season is going to start. We don't know whether it's going to start with or without supporters. So until all these questions can be answered, there's no way that people can accurately give direction as to where we are financially. And we understand and accept that. I'm not going to lie, it makes you feel uneasy. It's not something that I'm used to. I'm a planner, and planning, I think, is one of my best qualities. And obviously, when I don't have the information or the clarity, it's very difficult to put plans in place. But this is the situation we're in, and we just have to ride with it and be ready, do all the background work that you possibly can to be able to react as and when we have clarity.
Thanks, Danny. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
There you go, right. Just a couple. Hi, Danny. All right?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Just a couple, mate. You mentioned last week about a players' meeting, about the situation in the table, everything, and you said that the players almost like took it upon themselves to sort of be honest and straight up with everyone and spell things out. The 2 results since then with the 4 points and 2 clean sheets have almost like backed up what they've said, haven't they? You must be delighted at that.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a really good group here, really honest, hard-working professionals that all want the very best for this football club. And you know, you can criticise performance, but you can never criticise them as human beings in terms of their work ethic and their attitudes. Because since we've been in, and certainly since we really, as a new group, come together really at the back end of January, we've seen those, you know, those qualities on a daily basis. And whether that was a reason why we picked up points, ultimately I think it was a number of factors, a number of variables. Certainly being able to call upon a number 9, get Carlin to the left, has helped. There's absolutely no hiding place from that. That's been a big factor. But also, you know, in adversity, you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about people, and you learn a lot about each other. And you know, sometimes it takes adversity to really bring you together and really fight for one another. And we've certainly seen that in the last 2 performances. But like always now, the challenge for us is to do it consistently.
And just lastly for me, how has the situation at Wigan changed things for you and perhaps other teams in the similar situation in the table to you?
Well, it hasn't changed anything at all, other than me just feeling sad for Wigan, for Paul Cook and his management team, who are really good guys, and the players who've had such a fantastic 2020 on the pitch, and obviously the supporters who care deeply about their club. It looks a mess. You never quite know what's true and what's not true. I'm always careful not to speak too much about something where I don't have all the details, because we know that a lot of things are said about football and not all of them are true. But no, it's a really difficult situation. It just saddens me really. And in terms of us, it's just about us, and it's, you know, I won't get any contentment staying up because another club has been deducted points or gone into administration and lost points, because we want to do it on our own merits, and that's what we're really determined to do.
Thank you, Danny. Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.